Okay, so I guess we'll start. If anyone, just please make sure your mics are muted, so we can have a proper community call. So hello everybody, my name is Ivan. I'm leading the ecosystem development. Clayton, I'm muting you as it seems your mic is not muted. Thanks. So my name is Eitan. I'm leading the ecosystem development in B.Protocol. If you haven't met me yet over Discord or forum or one of these previous calls, so thanks everyone for joining in. Today we have two guests joining us, two project guests. One is from UMA. We have Chandler and Clayton who will give us some intro to UMA as it is part of our next B-Pro allocation request proposal that we have for some kind of a KPI program. So we'll hear about it later today. And we also have people from Visor here, Brian, I think, and other guys from the team there who will explain further their proposal on using Visor for liquidity mining program. But first we'll start with a brief update from Yaron on whatever integrations we are working currently, as this is the first and probably the biggest part of the B-Pro allocation proposal that we've put on the forum. So yeah, Yaron.
Yeah. Thank you, Eitan, and thank you everyone for joining. So let me share the slides. So most of the focus is the V2. Well, just a quick reminder, the main difference from our V1 is that in our V2 user deposits are used for liquidations. Currently V2 is only live with liquidity, and actually yesterday it was very interesting day where it was eventually finally put to the test. There was a very big liquidation at liquidity. We took a total of $200,000 from there. Almost 60% of it was rebalanced in the first 10 minutes by offering arbitrage prices. And then when rebalance kind of became smaller, it simply offered the best LUSD prices without arbitrage price, and this was also taken over the course of another hour. And eventually, now we're at a stage where it's again 99.9% rebalance. So this is what we already have live. I think this integration currently we have $9 million in deposits, mostly in our interface, also in liquidity interface. Another thing which is not in our slide is that actually this week we got a few requests from other front ends, other liquidity front ends to integrate our widget, our stability pool widget, so they can offer it to their users. Okay, but this is the easy part, and initially, we started with liquidity specifically because it was very easy to start there without any minimum capital requirements. But now moving forward, we're integrating. We want to integrate with other projects. Will give us native priority, and we will be able to actually demonstrate how our system works, and that with us a better liquidation process is happening. So our first kind of partners or design partners, we already have almost confirmed 3 projects. The first one, which is already public, is the MakerDAO. So I think it was 2 weeks ago when the MakerDAO approved a proposal to let us be the exclusive liquidator for a new collateral type. It will probably be WBTC collateral with higher leverage than they offer now. So that's one fund, and it's kind of now it's like the biggest project that invited us to integrate, but also we are working with smaller ones. So we are about to finalize our design of a Polygon. We already made proposal at B0X, and it got good responses. And also Rari Capital will have a Polygon deployment, and they agreed to use us there for a certain market. And I think there what will be special is that we will use probably the same pool to facilitate both B0X and Rari liquidations. So it will be more efficient in the sense that we can share liquidity, which is obviously something we cannot do with MakerDAO at this point, because MakerDAO will be on Ethereum, on L1, and we cannot share it with Polygon. Moving forward, 2 more projects that we are kind of in advanced discussions there, but it was not finalized yet, are Alpaca Finance and B.Protocol, who offer perpetual protocols. So Alpaca is pretty big on Binance chain, and Perp offer a new use case, which is for perpetual futures, where in traditional markets, eventually most liquidations are in futures, not in spot trading or lending platforms. So discussions are still ongoing there, but yeah. So this is the update, and the important part about the update is, unlike what we did so far, that basically no liquidity was needed to bootstrap anything. Here we will need liquidity to bootstrap, right? So just recall our architecture, where eventually users will have to deposit liquidity into the backstop pool, and of course, in the long run, once we kind of backstop big part of DeFi, it is supposed to be like self-sustained, and like people are supposed to get profits from the actual liquidations, but of course the DeFi is still kind of far away from where centralized finance is. So we need to give some incentives to bootstrap the liquidity, specifically to give some kind of guaranteed yield, or at least guaranteed in the token, in our governance token, yield for the depositors. Because again, unlike V1, here we cannot start without initially having some liquidity. So for Maker, for example, Maker currently is the first place that we kind of committed to at least $1 million of liquidity, and probably if you want to give something like 10% APY, then we need to give 10% as an incentive. It might be only for 6 months, not 10 months, so it will be smaller. But eventually, now that we are talking with other projects, some of them will do joint liquidity mining with us. So we need to kind of be able to negotiate on behalf of the DAO, and to have like a general framework on what kind of liquidity mining the DAO is willing to offer there. So yeah, that's the technical updates on our development, and I think at the end of the call today there will be specific discussion on like on the full proposal for the liquidity mining, both for V1 and the future V2. But this is the background for everything. So yeah, any questions?
If there are any questions currently, so just unmute yourself, and we can have 1 or 2 questions now, and If not, we'll just move on and keep the questions for later. Okay, so thanks, Yaron, for this update. I'll just say, we're in touch, as Yaron mentioned, with the founding teams of both Alpaca and Pair, and of course with the Rari Capital, Fuse and Market XYZ, and the B0X teams. So everything is kind of finalizing currently. With B0X, there's actually a proposal up on the forum. They suppose to bring it up for a snapshot probably by the end of this week or next week, I hope. And then it will go for an on-chain vote over their Tally integration. So I hope in the coming 2 weeks or so, we will have B0X finalized completely with, currently we got very good reactions on their forum for the proposal. So we'll move on, and our first guest will be Clayton and Chandler from UMA. As what the second allocation part in the B-Pro allocation was for a KPI-based liquidity mining for B-Protocol users, where we offered to deposit 90,000 B-Pro from the DAO reserve into a UMA option KPI program. So we asked for the UMA people to come over here and maybe explain a little bit more about UMA and specifically about the KPI option program. So Chandler, Clayton.
Hey guys, how's it going? Really great to be here. Chandler from the UMA team, as the introduction said. I'm here with Clayton. We are pretty much the two members of the UMA team that speak about KPI options the most. So if anyone in the crowd has questions around the mechanics that we might not get to, I know we have limited time, but please feel free to reach out to either one of us, after this call on our own Discord. We're more than happy to kind of give more color and context on what KPI options are. So just as a quick introduction to what the KPI option program is, it really is a quick summary on how I think of it is a KPI option is a reward mechanism that aligns the incentive with the person giving the reward to the person receiving the reward. In DeFi, we just love giving out tokens and rewards, and we kind of just do it without thinking about what we can get out of that reward. And we've seen it for a while where airdrops often lead to price depreciation, and standard liquidity mining reward programs end up with these like pump and up yield farmers just looking for the highest APY. So a KPI option, in our minds, is a way to kind of improve the participants' rewards that they get. So for the farmer, they could ultimately get more rewards out of a liquidity mining program. And from the DAO side, they're more than happy to pay that extra reward because they'll be able to have longer and more sustainable liquidity pools. So how it works mechanically is quite simple. An option is a standard ERC20 token that allows rights to the owner of that ERC20 token to claim some reward in the future. Now, the reward amount that you will get is determined by what your KPI metric is. So hence the word KPI option. So in the case, for just a simple example, if the liquidity pools for B-Pro are low, then your reward as an option holder is low. If the liquidity pools for B-Pro are high, then you as the option holder get more rewards. And this makes you as a farmer want to stay in the pool longer, and you also want to encourage more people to be part of that pool for a longer period of time so that your options are worth more. And as a protocol, you'd be more than happy to pay out those rewards because you have really liquid and healthy pools. That's my quick 2 cents. I know that's just one viewpoint on how to look at it, and I'm sure Clayton has a lot more that he can say about it as well.
Thanks, Chandler. No, I mean, I think you really did a great introduction there on KPI options, particularly for liquidity mining. I think it's really, when I think back to all the attention that liquidity mining and farming got in DeFi summer and just the early days of the DeFi space, right? It really became this powerful way to build a community, especially with fair launches and things. But over time, the market optimized for that, and they developed compounding auto compounders that sell the token and reinvest into the pool so you can increase your APY and compound your returns. And then we saw, just yield aggregating websites and things. It just became much more of a science than a community building type thing. And so that's, as the community lead at UMA, that's the angle that I think of. It's you want people who are mining and who are providing liquidity, but who are also understanding your products and are also getting involved and also care about outcomes. And that's really the angle that I see with liquidity mining 2.0. It just sort of restores that thing that the market was able to kind of peel off of the benefits of liquidity mining of the early days. But yeah, I don't want to just ramble on and on and on. Would love to invite any observations, reservations, thoughts, deep-seated emotions, any reactions that the crowd here might have.
Thanks, guys, for this intro. I'll just mention that in the proposal currently that will probably go on for a snapshot later this week. The proposal is for the KPIs getting B.Protocol TVL up to 150 million, which is currently around 60, I think, over the course of 3 months. With the floor price of 0.33 B-Pro per option. So basically, there's a 30K B-Pro which are promised as a liquidity mining program. But if we get to the TVL and cross it, then we'll get extra. The community will have an extra 60K B-Pro to be collected from the option, as the option will mature to 1 B-Pro per option. So that's currently the proposal. And yeah, there is more detailed. I pinned again the proposal from the forum on the community call chat. So if you can if anyone has any questions, specific questions on that, maybe we can take it now.
I have a quick question for you. Does the liquidity that this attracts contribute to that TVL?
Again, if the liquidity...
So the liquidity mining program is meant to attract liquidity. So I'm wondering if that, I actually don't know the underlying mechanics. Will that increase the TVL that pays out the KPI?
Yeah, that's the TVL is basically, people needs to deposit into either liquidity, maker, or compound. So, via B.Protocol interface. So basically, that's the TVL that we are counting. We'll be counting it as we do over DeFi Llama. That will be kind of the source of truth for this one. Yeah. So one kind of thing.
That's exciting to me because I don't think we've seen that before. And in fact, if you think about liquidity mining across DeFi, it's always been leaking alpha, right? This is the opposite. This is you share it because your alpha goes up, and I think that's pretty powerful. And it's not something we've actually been able to I don't think a protocol's tested that mechanism yet. But I'm really excited for the potential for it. So that's exciting.
I think that, something that worth mentioning together with this proposal is that, and it's already written in the proposal that, whatever BPRO that will be, people will get from that are connected to a staking mechanism, which we still do not have implemented in B.Protocol. This is the second phase of our liquidity mining. The first one was without any KPI into it, as most liquidity mining programs are. And the community kind of mentioned that it wasn't working as the community was expecting. People got the BPRO and kind of sold that. And created some kind of selling pressure, and we're trying to figure out a way where the incentives are aligned for all the stakeholders in the B.Protocol community. And this seems to be a better option to do that.
Yep. Awesome. That's cool.
Great. So, okay. So let me just see. I see some questions I got from Visor. So just let me attend that. Yeah. Brian, are you with us already?
Oh, yeah, I'm here.
Okay. So let me try and figure out how can I let the people. I will need some kind of saw that. Okay.
Oh, no worries. I think he just joined the Discord, so there's like a 10-minute waiting period before he can start talking. But I could, in the meantime, I think he has like maybe 6 minutes left, and in the meantime, I could give a quick intro on our product and who we are.
I'll try to figure out if I can release those 6 minutes from him. So let me try and be an admin. But yeah, go ahead and start.
Okay, sure. I could just give a quick intro. So my name is Brian. I'm in charge of communications and business development at Visor Finance. And along with me is Saga Naki. He's part of Gamma Strategies, which is our research organization. And he's largely responsible for developing our liquidity providing strategies on Uniswap V3. And just to give a quick intro, Visor Finance, we do liquidity provisioning on Uniswap V3. And just to give a little bit of background, Uniswap V3, the main differences between Uniswap V2 is that providing liquidity on V3 is concentrated liquidity. In other words, when you want to provide, let's say, ETH and DAI, you would choose the price range of providing liquidity. Say, I want to provide ETH between $2,000 and $5,000. And the benefit of providing on UniV3 for the liquidity provider is that the concentrated liquidity nature of UniV3 allows you to earn a higher fee multiple than you would on UniV2. And from, let's say, a DeFi project perspective, you can conduct higher volume trades on the same or similar amount of liquidity than you can on UniV2. So what this means is if you have a liquidity mining infrastructure on UniV3, you can potentially give out up to, let's say 10 times less rewards than you would give out normally in UniV2 because you don't need as much liquidity. And so just to summarize our proposal, we recently launched our product called Visor Phantom. And what this is a enterprise level B2B solution for liquidity mining on UniV3. And it adds a liquidity mining layer on top of UniV3. And the main difficulty with the current liquidity mining infrastructure today is that, let's say if you were to use the UniV3 staking contract that was sort of endorsed by Uniswap, that involves, that is not very favorable to sort of like the lower, the long tail liquidity provider who may not be able to provide liquidity at such a scale because it involves them, number one, they have to pay gas fees to provide liquidity on Uniswap, and they'll choose a certain range. And if the price range, if the current price tends to go out of range, then they'll have to unstake out of the staking contract, adjust the range, and then restake back into the contract, which is very inconvenient. And not to mention, the gas prices these days are pretty crazy, and it could lead to their profitability going down just due to the fact that they're paying all these gas fees for different transactions. So the summary of our proposal was to allow B.Protocol to use Visor Finance to conduct liquidity mining on Uniswap v3. And I can take a break here and just to see if the community has any questions, and XYK, Saganaki, if any of you guys have anything to add, feel free to add.
Yes, so I have a question. So basically, what you're offering is some kind of parameterized strategy, or there's like one vanilla strategy?
So this is
specifically for the rebalancing process and price range, etc.
This is Miles from Visor. So the main strategy here is to stay within range, and that can be as much as you want. It can be up to you guys. But the main strategy is to stay within range, price range, and provide liquidity within anywhere from 5% to 20% above and below the current price band. And so we have an ability to stay within range algorithmically, because as soon as the price goes towards the price range, that makes that threshold trigger rebalance. So we always try and stay within range is the main strategy. But it can go beyond that. If you want to set, let's say you want to set two separate price ranges. The one, a limit order above and below, in order to mitigate any sort of volatility. And that is the second part to what we're offering, which is the first one is just the ability for LPs to join the position that's always within range and get rewards from that's representative of their share of the liquidity that they're providing. And then number two is the ability for there to be co-management of how this liquidity is handled. So choosing the price ranges and choosing when to rebalance and choosing when to reinvest fees and what to do with those fees. And that is co-managed with by Gamma, which is our entity that handles the strategies, and then also by the DeFi project, so you guys.
In terms of, like kind of operation costs, like the gas costs for every strategy change, who's supposed to pay them?
So we subsidize that, and so we pay for all rebalances. And obviously the interval couldn't would have to be limited, and so that's another reason for having a lot of liquidity within a range, and also setting those the bands wide enough so that we don't have to continuously rebalance, let's say every 5 minutes.
Yeah, so maybe, I don't know, can you describe a typical scenario? Let's say you support, like plus minus 20%, and then if the price, for example, appreciates, then you just sell, what, you offer more liquidity to the other side, or do you try to sell, like as a taker, the excess inventory, or how exactly does it go?
So let's say that we start out with an initial pair balance of 50-50. And so and let's say the pair is ETH and then your token. Then it's going to start out at 50-50. Then as it slides into more ETH than your token, then we simply add more of your token in order to rebalance that. So when we do a rebalance, we'll take in these assets and we'll add them to the other side of the position in order to get back to that 50-50 centered position.
And that's one way. The other way is let's say that we now have more of your token than ETH, and let's say it's like 75% your token, 25% ETH. Then we will, if you don't want to add ETH, we will create a limit order with your token. And when that limit order fills, or let's say it fills halfway, we will then be able to be more balanced with more ETH and your token, so that we can maintain that 50%. So there's a couple of variables. One is adding assets. The other is creating a limit order so that when that partially fills, we can enter that into the main position.
And all this strategy is somehow constrained by a smart contract.
The strategy is constrained by an admin controller, and so in our main position manager contract, we have an admin proxy that allows for certain functions to be called. And so what we would do is we would share access to that, and that could only be triggered by the parties that are allowed, and also the addresses that are allowed. So let's say that one function is, we have a function called collect, and that takes the fees that are accrued and puts them back into the position. That can be that can be permissioned to one address. So that could be permissioned to a keeper or to you guys, and with that designated address, you can call that function. The other functions are rebalance, create a limit order, change the price range through ticks, through entering the ticks. And so it's less of a strategy on chain and more of a permissioned functions that are tied to an address that only the team would have access to. And we have created this endpoint that allows for this to happen. It doesn't have to happen through Etherscan, writing to the contract. We have created a Telegram bot that accepts these endpoints as commands. And so that Telegram bot would be shared between Gamma and you guys, and you would be able to send commands to this bot. So you would write /collect, and that would tell the bot, okay, we want to take all accrued fees and put it back into the position. That would trigger a transaction that would go ahead and do that. And that's the same for all the other variables that you could control.
Yeah, okay, thank you. These are all my questions.
And
Any questions from anyone? That's the time.
Yeah, and I guess just to add on to that, we can come up with a list, like when we make the new proposal, we can come up with like a list of options, like option A, option B, option C, which will outline, various strategies that you guys can employ. Like if you guys want a more automated strategy, we can say, okay, we could do, option A will provide liquidity at 20% above and below, or 40% above and below. Or we could go with like a Bollinger Band type strategy, and we can outline these things that can go into the next proposal if that worked well for you guys.
Well, I guess all of that will be up for the community to decide, including who's gonna manage this this bot, this Telegram bot, and basically the strategies around this liquidity mining. So yeah, I guess we'll have to take that over the forum or Discord in the coming days, and see where it leads to.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds good, and we'll be in contact, and And like just in terms of process, when you guys come up with this, is there going to be a new sort of proposal that just kind of goes into the more specifics, or what's sort of the process in terms of how this actually will turn into a vote?
So we're still experimenting with that, but the previous proposal didn't get to a quorum, and some of the feedback the community had was it was a bundled proposal with a few different kind of sections into it. So on this current proposal, we have different 4 sections, which will be not including the visor proposal. So the 4th that we had will be probably will be up for a snapshot separately. So there's going to be a vote for each section separately, so the community can decide, if they prefer one of the 4 but doesn't like the third one, for example. And I guess, visor, if there's more technical parts, Yaron, correct me if I'm wrong, but we will have, to get some code to be implemented before we can actually put it up for a vote.
So it sounded at this point it's mostly kind of to transfer it to some other wallet. And maybe the technical part is to kind of define admins from our side, but I think that's that. If that can be up for a snapshot vote, because we know it's kind of hard to get mainly the attention from the community for these kind of votes, we're trying to pull a few votes together at the same time so we can kind of push it over the different channels that the community have, either be over Discord, the forum, on Twitter, and kind of this is why we also had the delegation up and running, trying to get more delegations running in the community. So we try to kind of put a few votes together, even if it will be separately, but to have a few votes at the same time. So if someone is already on Snapshot, you can vote on whatever is there. So I guess putting visor as part of that, can be done. Maybe need to figure out the final details if I'm missing anything here. Like on the
absolutely. We'll come out with a new edited proposal with that's a lot more specific in terms of the details, and we'll post that to the forum, post it in Discord, and
specifically, as most, eventually this is all about the allocation of B.Pro tokens, as for the liquidity mining. So we will have to decide if that's, the community will have to kind of vote on if 100K is the right number for that. Is it too much? Is it too little? And of course, there's also this part of the matching kind of to ignite this, the liquidity, to bootstrap the liquidity. So we'll have to figure this number as well.
Perhaps. I'm thinking maybe in the proposal we can have a yes or no. Would you like to go with visor, yes or no? And then following that, we could maybe have some other parameters in there that show okay, what's the right range of liquidity mining rewards, like A, B, or C, and what type of strategy would you prefer, A, B, or C? Is that something that would be possible?
It is possible. I can't see really if, for us, the snapshot currently as the governance is working with B.Protocol, whatever goes over a snapshot vote is down for the multi-sig to execute. So if it's just a yes/no kind of thing, it doesn't really, it shows a quorum maybe, but maybe we can figure it out over a poll on the forum, for example, before we go, directly into a full snapshot. As after the snapshot, there won't be any more votes. So maybe get, the final details, get a poll over the forum, get the details done over the forum. And then once we have, kind of a full proposal, put it up for a snapshot. Just a yes/no on snapshot won't really. I can't see how it will actually advance anything.
That makes sense.
Okay. Cool. Any questions either to the UMA guys who are still with us or to the Visor guys who are still with us from the community, from anyone? Okay, so I think so. Thanks again, for sharing sharing the details on both these projects and these proposals. Basically, what we wanted to cover at the last section of this call is the two other parts of the proposal of the allocation B-Pro, which one of them was the growth squad and the funding of it with 25K B-Pro, which is basically the same proposal as it was previously in the bundled proposal previously. So no big changes there. It's the same kind of two KPIs, one basically to bring more users into B-Protocol over the three different integrations we have live currently. So it's Maker and Compound on V1 and depositors on Liquidity, and having more participation in the governance, meaning more B-Pro holders. So growing that number as well. All details are in the proposal, but basically I think it was 300 more users and 300 more token holders. We are funding that with 25,000 B-Pro for 3 months, and the growth squad members are currently 3. Maybe if there are more, it's just kind of more of a test to see how squads are actually can actually be viable in the B-Protocol governance. It goes down the road of full DAO as it already is, but getting more and more functionalities in the hands of the community. So I think that's that can be a great use case for that. And yeah, I think we got kind of the right feedback for that and made a few adjustments, but basically that's it. So if there are any questions on that, go ahead and ask. And the last part, the fourth section in this allocation proposal was for the Unified Bug Bounty Program, which has 50,000 B-Pro, for critical payouts, if there will be any. So we suggested the community to kind of put aside 50K. We have HATS Finance who have had a proposal on the forum previously for a HATS vault. They have suggested these 50K B-Pro can be, instead of just sitting in an account, can be sit in a HATS vault to kind of gain some yield from the HATS protocol. I suggested their team, they've just launched, I think a week ago or more. So before, when they just proposed that, it was before they actually went live. Now the protocol is live. They have 2 live votes, one for Liquidity and one for, can't remember, was the second one, Claris maybe. And I suggested them just to come over to the forum and suggest this proposal as they approach the team. So maybe we'll get that also. But currently, I think maybe we can use that for the Immunify, and if we'll find a way to use that for both programs, maybe we can do that down the road. So yeah, that's basically for today. If there are any more questions on other subjects, go ahead. So. Okay, we'll give it another minute or so for if there are any other questions, and if not, we'll just say goodbye and meet in the next call. I assume the next call will be in 2 weeks and not in a month, as we have more and more integration, more and more projects coming in, and we find it kind of interesting for people to hear more about it. One of them is Rabbit Hole, which also there's a proposal on the forum for that. Basically, it's an educational program, and which comes with rewards for new users who complete different tasks that the community will have to decide on. What task we want to have on this kind of quest that the Rabbit Hole project offers. They build the educational program, all the educational materials and so on. And yeah, so this is another guest. Maybe Hats will join for one of the coming calls as well. Yeah, and probably if we have things coming with B0X, we'll get one of their team members to join us as well for a call, and same for the Rari Capital team. Yeah, that's it from me anyway for today.
Hey, Atan. So Rethos here. I joined the call originally, as I mentioned on the chat, to sort of like listen in on the discussion on KPI options. But I also noted from the updates section of the call that you guys have extended to Polygon. So that's news to me, and that's really awesome. So welcome to Polygon. The reason I bring that up is I'm also part of another DAO. It's called My Finance. The DAO's name is ChiDAO. Not sure if you all are aware of the project or not, but it's kind of similar to Maker. So it's just kind of interesting to note that since you're on Polygon, maybe would be a good opportunity to reach out and check on possible integration, because I think in a similar fashion we also are a lending protocol and are having discussions on a stability pool around liquidations and so on. So you all do seem like a great possible partner for us to look into, have a chat with me.
Sure.
Yeah, sounds good. I think I did hear your name somewhere, but yeah, didn't have the chance to reach out yet. So yeah, sounds great. I don't know if you can, reach over DM or something, and we can start discuss it. Or if you want to discuss it, in the public channel, you're also welcome.
Great. Thanks a lot. And yeah, glad to be here and looking forward to both the UMA partnership and possibly the ChiDAO one as well. So yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you. Okay, any last comments, questions, suggestions, proposals before we are wrapping up? Okay, so thanks everyone for your time. And yeah, let's keep on the discussions over Discord and the forum. And yeah, have a great week.
Yeah. Thank you, Eitan. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Yeah. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. Appreciated the opportunity.
Sure.
Stay safe. Cheers, folks.
Cheers.